Hello and welcome to Campaign Comrades, your favorite leftist gaming podcast. We've got all the comrades in chat today. We are reviewing 2016's Ratchet and Clank tie-in movie. We have punished ourselves for all of you, continuing our Ratchet and Clank coverage this month. It was really sad for me because I'm like coming off of like the last time I saw it, I think was when it came out in 2016. And I remember liking it. I remember enjoying it. I remember thinking it was a good adaptation. It felt like it fit the tone, the characters. I mean, one of the big things is, with like maybe one kind of major exception, every character of note from the video game universe is voiced by their actual voice actor. So it felt natural. I'm familiar with the plot, even the reworked version for this kind of reboot era.
Had you
I
played
remember
the game before, what is the order of release?
I can't remember what order I did it, but I'm looking it up for today. The game came out like 2 to 3 weeks before the movie.
Yeah.
So it had been out before the movie came out.
Well, I'm curious then, I mean, you said you don't remember, but I wonder if that had any effect. Like if you watched the movie before the game, you know,
I
not
feel like I
have
did.
clearly played the game before watching the movie.
I honestly don't remember. I feel like I did because I remember. I do have the feeling of remembering playing the game and being like, "Oh, that's cool!" Like in a cutscene for the game, they're using the movie footage where it fits, and it felt
but I
seamless.
feel like
It didn't feel like again it was being forced in, and it felt natural.
I don't
do you feel
remember
like,
which.
thinking back, that could have had an effect on, liking it so much and then playing the game, which is so much better. Um, and obviously what the medium is supposed to be, had
Well, one of
some.
the things, like the game isn't necessarily long. I think the 2016 game, the story is like 8 to 10 hours or something like that, if you
Yeah,
mainline
that
it.
sounds right.
But like the movie's an hour and a half, and it crams a lot of an 8 to 10 hour game into an hour and a half,
Mhm.
which just kind of makes like the pacing kind of wonky.
Yeah, I was
Like I think
hanging
you
out at
spend
Matt's yesterday, and that was like my main comment. Is like it was basically why I felt the comedy didn't land is because it was too fast. It was too condensed that you didn't have the opportunity for proper
Sit
setup,
with
for a
it.
good punchline, and for things to land. It just like was just okay, on to the next, on to the next, on to the next.
Well, and like one of the weirdest things for me was so like in the game, I think the time from when you press start on the menu to when you control both Ratchet and Clank together is maybe like 10, yeah, 10 to 15 minutes of a like 10-hour experience. And in this, it was almost like a 25-minute part of an hour and a half movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't think of that, but that's a good observation because so much of their personalities, why you enjoy both of them is having the two together, right?
Mhm.
Is the study in contrast, the buddy comedy kind of aspect where people I remember in our past episode, we were doing research about the game series and they're like, oh, Ratchet was annoying in the first game and shit like that. And I never felt like I felt that way playing any of the games. But I felt that way at the
Yeah.
beginning
Yes.
of the movie. I
Yes.
felt that way at the beginning of the
Yes.
movie. It's like, oh wow, he's annoying. He's annoying as shit. And
He's
then
super annoying.
when you get Clank there, it kind of mellows him out a little bit.
Like the scene where Quark is like, no, you can't be
A
a galactic
ranger.
ranger. uh I was in full agreement. I was like, there's no way that this person qualifies whatsoever to be like, they shouldn't even be allowed into this interview right now. Like, this is a complete wash of
Grow
standards and
up.
policies.
Grow up, kid.
Yeah, whiny child.
But I feel like I could be misremembering. I really don't know. But like I have this feeling in the back of my head that I watched the movie first and then played the game because it was I had kind of fallen off a little bit of the series. This was coming off of like a hiatus for me in playing. Again, going back to our last episode, I hadn't played the last few PS3 games in the series. So then it was seeing the movie and the marketing for the movie was like, oh my God, they're bringing Ratchet and Clank back. Like they're doing a new game. I should try that out. And
It's Chairman Drek. Look at him.
I played the PS4 reboot and loved it, and it was reigniting my love for the series. And that was like the big kind of point I wanted to make about this whole endeavor. And I guess here's the best point to do it. Was like thinking to myself, getting ready for this episode, like, why was this made? What was the goals for this to be made? And was it successful?
So part of me thinks they took the because one of the things that's been said about some of the more recent Ratchet and Clank games is they always look like a Pixar movie in a game.
Sure.
And they wanted to like take that one step further. Like this was Sony dipping their toes into the like, what do our video game IP look like on the big screen?
See, I come at it from the different side. I don't think that they really cared about the success of the movie. I view this as the most expensive game
Marketing
trailer ever made.
Yes, I completely agree.
Marketing, yeah,
and it worked.
A new generation,
and it worked. Ratchet and Clank 2016 was the highest selling game in the franchise in its history. I even think it has sold more than Rift Apart. That's a large part because of the differences in the install base, right? There are more people had PS4s and still have PS5s, so that's a big reason for that one. But it sold so much and was such a huge commercial critical success for Insomniac and for Sony.
Can I tell you
they can afford the loss?
That warned
they can afford the loss on the movie. Losing a couple $1 million, like because it only ended up moving like or losing like
lost
10.
like 4. No, it's even less. It was like 4 or 5. It was like 15 to 20. They made 15 on a $20 million budget.
Well, I mean, did any of you?
So that's nothing compared to the revenue
they
bring in
at the start of the logos.
Like,
I sure as hell didn't.
So there was another thing. There's like probably 10 production studios involved with this. It was just one after the other. Yeah. It was just like, wow, this knowing what I know now, being more aware and a less naive 23-year-old at the time of the 2016 release was like, ooh, that's a sign of a troubled production.
That's if you split it up enough, the losses aren't significant.
Yeah, right. That's a pretty cheap movie for what is supposed to be like a big box office hit. So I think that even lends more to the fact that it's fine to take this as a marketing loss, get a new generation of children that want to play the game, and then get the adults and the uncles and
that's why they made Ratchet a pussy for this new generation.
Oh, of course, yeah. They got to make him the whiny little kid.
They sissified our boy.
Yep.
Yeah, well, because they had to make sure that the kids of today
on our
could
Lombax
see themselves.
He does have cat ears.
Just really big ones.
Furifying.
So the people at Insomniac like jokingly refer to it, and let's see without having it in front of me if I can get it right. They called the movie, or no, they was talking about the game. It was the game. The 2016 game is a game based off a movie based off a game. Which was really funny to me, but like kind of again paints it as the movie is incidental, right? It serves its purpose. And so that's what it kind of crystallized for me. Where else, of course, but in the shower. I was like just kind of scratching my head thinking about it, and like it's like, yeah, this is the longest and most expensive video game trailer. That's what it is. That's
I'm gonna have the hardest time rating this as an adaptation at the end.
Well, that's like It's definitely fits the mold of like, is there a purpose to making this into a movie? And there really
It's like
isn't one.
it's an hour
Besides
and
that,
34 minutes, right? Like that's how long the runtime is.
Around there, yeah.
Yeah, like that's barely even a blip of like studio time at this point. Like they were probably able to put this all together and just be done with it in not a very long period of time. Probably even were able to like put some of it under like the game project budget.
yeah, that's what I'm curious. Like how much from
Because of the
the game.
crossover
Yeah.
with the
Yeah, with
cutscenes.
the cutscenes and
The guy who wrote who was the lead writer on the game also penned this script. So yeah, there was a lot of cross stuff, and probably like these people were probably, Insomniac likes to tout themselves as not relying on crunch, but there was probably some shitty stuff going on. It's like, oh yeah, you're gonna write for 2 projects at once, but only get paid.
Get paid.
You're only writing 1 script, right? Like so we're only gonna pay you for one.
Sure.
It's the same script.
it's not
basically
2 different projects. It's 1 project with 2 sub projects underneath it.
Yeah. There's definitely some fuckery going on there. I would put the house money on that for sure.
Same with like the voice actors. This is, you only have to say the lines once.
So you're getting, you're getting, you're getting your booth rates for a video game, which is like far less than what you'd get for a feature film.
Weird. I didn't see any of those lines I recorded used in the game. Yeah, huh.
Yeah, we had to cut those.
So you guys want to jump into the plot now?
Oh yeah.
Break it down. All right. So the movie opens up kind of in a very Star Trek kind of a very Star Wars kind of feel. You see a ship, you see a planet. It's the stellar kind of landscape, and so we're hovering over the planet Tenemule. There is this space station called the Deplanetizer. I mean, the naming conventions and all that kind of stuff is still what is most successful in its adaptations. That is, that is what it is in the game. But it's being run by our ruthless and greedy head of Drek Industries, Chairman Alonzo Drek, voiced by Paul Giamatti here in the
Hell
film.
yeah.
So he's like the only one of like like I was mentioning at the start, he's the only one of our core characters that are being adapted that's not voiced by.
Well, I mean, Drek was legitimately only in that first game compared to a lot of the other ones who've been in multiple games after. So
I think we looked this up. Was he also voiced by one of the other actors? Like, is he like was voiced like by the same guy who does Quark or something?
I think that's right.
It was like one of the ones doing double duty.
many people are saying it.
No, he's voiced by someone, Kevin Michael Richardson, in the original game.
We could all use some Kevin Michael Richardson in our lives.
And then 2016, I'm only seeing now. When I put in 2016, I'm only seeing the movie. So let's just go
2016 PS4.
Yeah. Gotta get more specific.
Yeah, you need more
Eric
search engine optimization.
No, someone completely different. Eric Bauza. It's Eric Bauza. So long, Eric Bowser.
It always sounds like they got a nice Italian man.
But Drek has like a different title. It's like he's got like a full title of something very funny. I don't have it here in front of me, but so we get introduced to Chairman Drek. He is addressing his fellow Blarg as they do the deplanetizing.
A very long bit about a guy texting on his phone.
Again,
very long bit.
In a very 2016 joke right there.
Yeah.
so they destroy this planet. It is a Death Star, but like they're taking
it's literally the Death Star,
and they're collecting chunks of this planet. I don't know if we get in his speech that he's like talking about like how they're using the deplanetizer to farm resources to create a new home world for them, because they've ruined their home planet of Quartu or whatever it's called. I think so. I think it's planet Quartu, and they're making new Quartu from all the bits and pieces that they gather together from the deplanetizer. So that's our opening scene. Then we move to Planet Veldin on our Tatooine stand-in, where Ratchet is doing.
Why fuck with a formula that already has worked so well?
It works, but he's apparently only supposed to be 15 years old. I didn't that part completely flew over my head there. But
because most of these studios nowadays know if they have to make a furry character, they might as well make him go all the way.
So he's definitely adolescent
on multiple layers.
So he's definitely adolescent coded, because he's absolutely on Ritalin.
Yeah.
Hey, adults be getting that shit now.
They not in 2016, not yet.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
He's just fucking zooming around, putting ridiculous updates onto this elderly alien's hover car. He's just he's pimping his ride and putting in ridiculous things like it's Chekhov's magnet ray. It's we see at the beginning the ridiculous magnet ray that creates their version of a pod race scene. Again, it's Star Wars, folks. That's what it is. The ship goes crazy. The old man can't drive, which based showing the reality of old people.
Even in a future space, they're not testing old people for their flying permits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's upsetting. But I will say, some old people have a lead fucking foot. There's the ones that just putt and can't move, and then the ones that are pedal to the metal.
They're dangerous on both ends.
Yeah, Dad sure can drive.
Sure
could drive.
So he sees on the news that this uninhabited planet Tenemule was destroyed, and it's the fourth in a series of similar mysterious destructions. In response, the Galactic Federation, I forget what the government agency is called, but the president of that group has requested the Galactic Rangers, who Ratchet has all their posters and action figures. He idolizes their leader, Captain Quark. But he has.
If this was made like a couple years later, he'd have their Funko Pops.
Yeah, one of the good jokes.
There is.
One of the good jokes about here at the beginning is on the news report. The guy's saying the president is asking the Rangers to expand their ranks from 4 to, and it's to 5. Really, that's it? It's really, that's it? That's you sure that'll cover it?
Yeah, that's not realistic to how military budgets work here. It's we need to upgrade from 4 to 4 million.
So they're going out on tour basically to interview every wannabe ranger in every galactic backwater. And where is their next stop going to be? But Tatooine. Our Tatooine stand-in of the planet of Veldin, where Ratchet he was basically an orphan. He's the only Lombax. He doesn't know where he comes from.
They dance around saying the only Lombax. They do a lot of I haven't seen another one and stuff like that. Because that's one of the soft reboots they did in 2016. Was the Lombaxes might still be around. We'll never tell.
Well, rift apart. We'll see.
So that's when we have our pod racing scene where he's super excited, and then shit takes off, and Ratchet gets in trouble. We cut then back to Chairman Drek, who is giving the spiel to his lieutenant Victor von Ion, who is played by nearly incomprehensible Sylvester Stallone. Just mumbling
It's so funny.
just mumbling his
Hey,
way.
that's Italophobia.
Mumbling his way through that voice booth, doing his best.
Probably got paid the most.
Oh yeah. The lip filler had just been injected the days that he was doing his line reads.
They're getting prepped. They're hinting at they're building up an army to take out the Rangers who are going to be coming after them now. The Ratchet is able to go to the tryouts and is just immediately denied. Just we cut through from
rightfully so. He's a
Yeah,
15-year-old boy.
Yeah, but that's not even the reason why. Like their stated reason. It's not like you're 15.
No, so you're too he's too impetuous. He's causes too many problems.
He's
which leads me to believe
they said that like 4 times.
Oh yeah, he's not muscular enough. Yeah, they body shame him. They body shame him.
Leads me to believe that they would have fully accepted a 15-year-old if he was
if he looked like JJ Watt.
Yeah, crazy. That's
if he looked like a Wisconsin middle America farm boy.
Yeah, well, I mean, children yearn for the mines. We're starting it up in America, getting child labor going again. This universe already had it. No problem.
Right. So his list of offenses include possessing an illegal gravity repulsor, operating a black market accelerator.
That was a misunderstanding.
Operating a black market accelerator, which was define operation, just turning it on. So just flipping the switch. Define operating, and then the willful disruption of the space-time continuum. Whom amongst us? Come on, whom amongst us?
Dibble dabble and those types of things.
The real lie in this movie is that the Galactic Federation wouldn't have this kid on a monitor list, to turn him into their next Oppenheimer.
Yeah. What's the name of the vendor who sells your nuclear arsenal on the side of the
Gadgetron?
road? Yeah, well, how has he not been recruited by Gadgetron? Gadgetron is this universe's Lockheed Martin,
Yeah. Son, did you disrupt the space-time continuum with just a single Omni wrench?
One of my biggest complaints in the whole movie is that you don't get the Omni wrench until one scene at the very end.
Yeah.
I was just like, what the fuck is going on? Why no wrenching?
Maybe the wrenching would have pushed the PG-13 rating from PG.
He had one moment where he knocked. It's kind of like the ultimate the ultimate confrontation. It's he's run out of ammo or something, and he just knocks somebody off the edge into the deplanetizer beam with the Omni wrench. And it's his big moment, from Doom, it's his the BFG thing, it's the big reveal that he uses for 10 seconds. So we're back to Drek, where we unveil the real mastermind and brains behind the operation here, a humanoid Dr. Nefarious. What do we all think of this choice to make Dr. Nefarious not a robot himself?
Dr. Nefarious's best trait was his undeniable hatred for squishies.
So I do not like it. Bad.
Yeah, it's a weird choice that does not make sense in any reason. I don't understand why they felt like they had
the human version of him.
Why they had
because they went woke. They couldn't have a robot, which is an other, be the villain, so they had to make it a person in power and make it humanoid. It's a clear answer.
So he gives them the tour of his warbot factory that gets like struck by lightning and shuts down and creates a malfunction, which is where we get the creation of Clank, our defect, as Sylvester Stallone just keeps screaming. That's the only word that like is actually intelligible for him. I'm coming for you, defect.
Who would have known that Sylvester Stallone would have had such an influence in Across the Spider-Verse with Miguel O'Hara?
So he makes his escape super, just like he's hops off the line, realizes, that he's got a conscience, and immediately escapes. But Victor Von Ion does get like a shot off and fucks up the escape pod. So Clank
might have been the only good
lands.
joke in the movie for me. Was the set coordinates for such and such planet?
Yeah,
it's like, I will, but you're not going to get there.
But oh well. It was like, but oh well, something like that. Thanks for trying. And so he crash lands on Veldon, very much like Ratchet himself did back when he was a kid.
Parallels.
And then they team up. Ratchet gets him out of the ship. This is what happens in the movie, or in the game. I'm sorry.
Yeah, except we didn't get 5 minutes of platforming to go get him.
Ratchet agrees to see to his repairs, and he's the one who names him Clank. And
much better name.
He named him just like Ellis Island did. They saw him limping. They're like, we're going to call you Limpy.
And then like,
you're Jewish, Limpy Berg.
Their relationship is just, immediately solidified. They're like, oh, we need to go to the capital planet and go to Alero City ASAP. Chairman Drek has built an army of warbots to kill the Galactic Rangers. And, Ratchet's like takes this as his opportunity to impress the Rangers. He's, Clank's got the intel, and Ratchet, quote unquote, has a ship. It's the damaged ship from the old guy who got
oh yeah, the old man's dead.
He got jettisoned into the stratosphere because he came in. He brought the ship in to get the ejector seat repaired, and oh boy, did that thing get repaired. But yeah, it's like that dude got launched into the sun, so he's dead. Say good. One more old person off the streets. The city is a bit safer. But so he points to, oh, I've got my ship. Like, you've got the intel, I've got the ship that can get us there, and the ship is falling apart. But they strap everything together. And
yeah, man, it's tactical falling apart for tactical reasons.
Tactically.
So they head off to the capital city. They do manage to save the Rangers and save the capital city using the ridiculous magnet ray that again has 2 callbacks. Then that's
the second.
Well, this is the first callback. The second callback is in the actual climax of the film.
Oh, yeah.
Where they install it on every other ship to move it becomes crucial to move the deplanetizer out of range. And that's what they use. But here it's like all the warbots are swarming the Rangers. They're going to overtake them, but they flip it on and just start dragging all the bots with them, and they save the city in spectacular fashion. Ratchet and Clank both become heroes. The
mission from the game too.
The people love. I even remember it, and it was very fun. The people love them, and it's a done deal. They're made honorary Rangers, much to Captain Quark's chagrin, because they're stealing his spotlight. The duo are introduced to the other Rangers, who it doesn't matter. They're all voiced by they're all voiced by a range of famous to like Rosario Dawson voices one. somebody else who was a celebrity at that, Bella Thorne, I guess. I don't know if she's still a if she's still like famous.
Not as much.
Yeah, no, it was like that was probably like at her peak.
Yep.
And but like, you know, just a very, very bland, you know, they fade into the background. But you learn more about the background of Dr. Nefarious. Why he hates the Rangers is because he used to be like the head scientist for the Rangers.
Q.
And Quark, of course, you know, did something fucking stupid and, you know, alienated him in some way and turned Dr. Nefarious evil. So that's like the reason why. And they don't like put it together, but like I don't know if like that's why they felt like they had to make him humanoid, was like, oh, why would the Galactic Rangers have a robot? Like it doesn't make sense.
Well, yeah, because now his hatred can be double when the Galactic Rangers take away his human body and turn him into a robot. Double hatred is better than single hatred. Just a law of hatred.
So, and Clank now basically for the rest of the movie gets kind of sidelined again.
Yep. He just becomes a man in the chair.
Yeah, like they take him away. Like he only teams up with Ratchet a couple other times throughout the rest of the movie.
This movie's non-canon.
So the team discovers that, you know, that the Blarg are using the deplanetizer to extract pieces of the destroyed planets containing famous landmarks and resources so that they can you know, build their own planet. The Rangers concoct this plan to infiltrate the factory on Quartu and are forced to fight an army of Mr. Zircons, which is one of the better kind of callback from
agreed.
the games. We always love Mr. Zircon.
There was no Mrs. Zircon though, which was sad.
It's so funny to see that how, like, you know, these Rangers are all so terrified of Mr. Zircon.
I mean, you should be.
Yeah,
Mr. Zircon's coming for you
for good reason.
Despite there not being a Mrs. Zircon, Mr. Zircon definitely fucks. Absolutely.
Yeah. Mr. Zircon does not get paid in bolts. He gets paid in the screams of his enemies.
I always thought it was funny how close the Mr. Zircons look to Clank.
Yeah.
So here's where Quark starts to get turned. He starts to get manipulated. He like just totally backwards stumbles into Drek's office, and with Dr. Nefarious's encouraging, Drek, you know, starts to manipulate him and, you know, poke at Quark's insecurities, you know, convincing him to, you know, turn on the Rangers insofar as it will get rid of Ratchet and Clank. But, you know, Quark is, you know, still not truly evil at his core, so he does have this concern for his other Rangers. So it's like, so long as they don't get injured, they don't get hurt, he'll do what Drek wants. He will turn traitor. So they learn more about Drek's plan by capturing Drek's put upon assistant bot, and they find out the next target for the deplanetizer, which is the planet Novalis, which is a populated planet. And they've got to put out their last ditch efforts to, you know, to stop Drek and save all the people. So they like start doing like an evacuation plan, and they're doing this assault on the deplanetizer.
So this was going to be the Alderaan.
Pretty much. I mean, all the other planets have been Alderaan, but they were
all
uninhabited.
This is the first true, or, you know, would be the first true Alderaan.
They're gonna do a genocide.
Changing up the story a bit, you know.
Yeah, they are gonna do,
giving us something a little new.
They were being restrained in their genocidal impulses.
They had to wait for the third act.
So
if you destroy a populated planet, instant PG-13.
Quark has been turned at this point. He is going to deactivate the Rangers' weapons, so the deplanetizer will be able to go through with its plan. That it's things start falling apart at the seams for Quark, though. The rest of the Rangers start questioning him. Things start going wrong, and of course, Drek and Nefarious had like the fingers crossed. They're gonna.
How are you gonna say they finger banged?
Oh no, that they had
You hung on finger for a little too long. I got excited.
They had
each
their
other's assholes.
They were. I mean, you never know what they get up to there. The power dynamic between Drek and Nefarious is pretty complicated.
So I would agree with you if Nefarious
they were
was
finger
Welsh
banging?
because of the use of the sheepinator later.
Yeah.
But
all right. So where were we? So Quark fucks off to he's says, "Oh, I can reason with Drek," and the rest of the team starts growing suspicious.
Recklessly, air quotes. And then Ratchet goes in after him as a bright-eyed and bushy-tailed jockey.
Yeah, he's going to save him. He's going to save his hero. We then get Victor Von Ion, Sylvester Stallone's character, sneaks aboard the Ranger ship and tries to attack Clank because he's got a vendetta against him, but is it was some callback. I forget. I think it might have been in the the initial tour of the Warbot factory. They say something about how they're rust proof. So it's rusting is a huge issue for most robotic life forms, and so Clank exploits that and turns on a sprinkler and turns Victor into a rust statue
him instantly.
Instantly.
That's how rust works.
They say they're super vulnerable to it. Uses a rainstorm producing weapon that causes him to rust instantaneously.
Weak to rust.
Super intelligent space beings makes their robots out of metal so vulnerable to rust that a mere raindrop can instantly nullify its entire purpose.
Rust is Insomniac's version of rot. Clank successfully procced Rust. Like you said, Matt, Ratchet boards the station to thinking he's going to save the foolish Captain Quark, who has gone off on his own, but he is captured by Drek himself, and things are looking down for our hero.
He gets to witness Quark too.
Yeah, he's being held captive so that he can watch Drek's successes and see his foolishness and trusting Quark as he realizes his treachery. They had successfully, because of the intel they had gathered, they had successfully evacuated the planet. So when it is destroyed, no lives are lost, but it is destroyed. So wallowing in his failure, Ratchet, goes back to planet Velden.
Quark, exile, I must go.
Yeah.
Failed, I have.
Quark confronts Drek for going back on his word of not hurting his fellow Rangers, and Dr. Nefarious, is gloating in his success. He has finally, defeated Quark, got his revenge, and had faked his death when he escaped when he left the. This is a detail, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, so then Nefarious makes his move and sheepinators Drek, turns Drek into a sheep and punts him into an escape pod, and sends him down to New Quartu so that Nefarious himself can take over the deplanetizer. The other Rangers find say Clank and all the other Rangers find Ratchet back on Veldon and convince him to return because they need this 15-year-old to help save the day. They find the final target is the planet Umbris. I don't remember anything particular about that planet, but it's that Nefarious intends to destroy it because of its unstable core. Like it's just an evil plan. He's just he's jongleur
full villain.
And so he's jongleur pilled. He's just like wants to see the galaxy burn or whatever. It's like if he destroys this one, it'll destroy the rest of the system, and it's just he's just doing it for fun.
He just wants to genocide.
Never just destroy an entire galaxy for fun.
Yeah, it's fun to do bad things.
Yeah, it's literally
he's
doing it just because it would make the Rangers feel bad. That's it.
This is the ultimate notice.
He's just trying to trigger the libs.
You triggered, bro? I destroyed a whole galaxy. Fucking triggered.
One of the funny plot points in this is that there is a female combat Ranger. That's the one voiced by Bella Thorne or whatever. And then Rosario Dawson is like the tech one who they just like don't value at all, and her office is in a broom closet, and they don't listen to her, and it's just like based, not platforming women,
especially Rosario.
But so finally Ratchet, though, who's the only one who'd been listening to her, it's like she's got an actual plan here to stop the deplanetizer, that they're going to sneak aboard disguising themselves as Quark using the Hollow Guys gadget, while the other Rangers used here's the final callback for the mag boosters. We'll each install a mag booster on their ship, and we'll pull the deplanetizer off target. The plan, of course, doesn't go as hoped, and Quark himself intercepts them, and they are fighting each other, and all of Quark trauma dumps on them. It was like how how he feels so belittled by their meteoric rise to fame. But Ratchet pleads to Quark's better angels, and he eventually realizes that he's been used by Nefarious, who then appears and just continues to try to manipulate Quark, but they Quark and Ratchet team up and try to fight Nefarious. The deplanetizer fires, but the Rangers are successful and move it off course. So instead of hitting the planet of Umbris, it hits New Quartu instead, which murks Chairman Drek.
Oopsie.
Nefarious falls into the chamber, very much like the Emperor, and on the Death Star 2, and he gets laser beamed, and we think he gets disintegrated, but apparently instead it just turns him into a robot. You get that in like a post or a mid-credit scene that it's turned him into his robot form. Oh, apparently it's that
he's gone full robot.
His repair bots had converted him into a robot rather than see him die.
Like Palpatine. Yeah, he's a
somehow Dr. Nefarious has returned. And that's basically it. The Rangers are lauded as heroes. Quark needs to go on a galaxy-wide apology tour. Where he's selling his book. Yeah, no, he'd agree.
If I'd done it.
And that's basically it. That's basically all we got here. It's like simultaneously a lot happening and not a lot at the same time.
Yeah.
There's really only a few major beats.
No, a lot of this is very much filler. Like Matt said at the beginning, the gratuitously long cell phone bit with just plenty of instances of things like that.
I wish I had like taken this like pictures or something of the still shots, because I've said this to you guys now multiple times. The best jokes that I felt that landed were like the nonverbal ones. It was like every time they'd go to a new planet, it would have like, you know, your little ticker at the bottom that would say what the planet is, and it would have some joke underneath it. And those always seemed to land for me. But most everything else just like it felt rushed, it felt forced. It I mean, I still like Quark in almost any instance,
By
but
far the best part of this movie in my mind.
in I don't know, maybe it's just because I wasn't feeling great when I was watching it. It was just like feeling a bit fatigued or whatever. But like, I don't normally fall prone to falling asleep during a movie, but like, there was a stretch of time where I felt like, did I just miss something? Like, did I actually fall asleep? Like, I was like struggling to keep my eyes open.
I struggled because if your movie is called Ratchet and Clank, and half of that combo, Ratchet, I can't stand the character of.
Clank's not in it enough.
Clank only gets one laugh. He only gets one instance of his
He's the best part of the movie.
I still think, again, I agree with Angela. I think Quark remains the best part of the movie. Termin Drek was a disappointment for me because I remember enjoying his character because, you know, I like these stories a lot because of their, you know, their satire and send up of like, you know, corporate culture and idiocy
Yes.
has always been super enjoyable to me. So that's why like Drek was kind of my preferred villain. Is because I found the corporate shenanigans to be the funniest, the most kind of, it's like funny in their banality, and that like it's not the over the top, just like we were just commenting here on Nefarious, is like he's just doing this to be evil, right?
Yeah, and they even give like in the games, I think the focus is much more on like a profit motive as opposed to the Blargs wanting to like create a new homeland for themselves.
Right.
Which
And so like even in the games when you have like Nefarious, like his in like most recent turn in Rift Apart is so much more endearing because it's personal, right? It's like
yeah.
it's taking all these other things, like, yeah, just being evil and all my evil plots failing, but it's just like, yeah, the feelings of failure and incompetence. You know, I gotta go find somewhere where that's not the case, where I can actually be the winner.
Which then only served to make him feel more incompetent when he realized there was a version of him who could do all the things he wanted.
Oopsie.
So one thing I didn't realize, even having played Rift Apart not that long ago, so not even though not playing or having played a Ratchet and Clank game really not that long ago, it was watching the movie that I didn't realize that Dr. Nefarious is voiced by Armin Shimmerman, who is most known for playing Quark from Star Trek Deep Space Nine, one of like the best Star Trek characters, and is very fitting in that kind of. I mean, Quark is very much a Drek type character, but like the kind of bumbling incompetence is very in terms of the game version of Nefarious is very spot on. Whereas yeah, he's more supposed to be like comically evil in this version. I don't buy as much, but still a good performance by most of the main voice acting. Like even though Ratchet may be annoying, I still think was it James something Arnold Taylor?
Yes, I think it's James Arnold Taylor.
James Arnold Taylor, yeah, is still does a good job.
Yeah, the Ratchet's annoying more as a product of the script than anything else.
So I got like my main kind of thesis about why this movie exists out at the beginning. What's everybody's? I want to turn to you guys. Like, what are your overall thoughts about the movie, its intentions, its successes, its failures? What its impact is to the Ratchet and Clank series and mythos. And I've came across a really funny, I didn't read it all, but like a very funny because of how in depth it was.
Oh,
Reddit thread over all the reasons why this is not canon.
I mean,
Hell yeah.
I'll start off because I'm the least Ratchet and Clank invested. And I agree that it was just a marketing film that they were fine taking the loss on. They were, crossing budget lines with the game, doing some tomfoolery because probably, at the end of the day, they spent more than the 20 million on it. But like we said, they don't give a shit about that. So like for what it was and the short runtime that it had, it was like enjoyable enough, and I could see why people would go see it. It's especially kids. It's like a very upbeat, quick movie. Just like we talked about the Mario movie being as well.
Yeah, that had a similar pace. That had a similar pace to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean they all do because they have to have that keep the kids' attention, upbeat, do.
Anything over 90 minutes with a kid is a big ask.
Exactly. So
you gotta keep those flashing lights and colors and dopamine hits coming, or else they lose.
Stems.
That's my biggest takeaway is like I'm just not the target audience for this movie.
Yeah. So like
I can't say that I was when I was 23.
Sophisticated brain that can hold a plot point for more than 5 minutes.
I can't say that I was when I was 23, but like I enjoyed it then. That's what's
weird. But you had the nostalgia hit, and that's why I think you definitely played the game after watching the movie, and the movie was a hit of nostalgia with like good graphics. The
game is good.
New.
Regardless, the game is good.
But I think you seeing that first and that being the first new hit in a while of Ratchet and Clank, definitely clouded your vision at the time. But yeah, I think for what it was a good movie. I didn't, pay as close attention to it as you might have because I'm not invested in the series as much. So it was like a great, just like, on the background, I was stimming from it,
Of course you were.
So like it was what it was. I didn't have high expectations, and it served its purpose of being a marketing movie, of getting kids engaged with Ratchet and Clank, getting the people to buy the game that had played it since PS2, PS1, etc. So I think it was successful in that way. I'm sure they, the actors, the voice actors, the developers and shit were all fucked on it because there is definitely some crossing streams, if you will, with this movie and their budget lines and labor practices. But so are we giving our
we'll wait till everybody else can give their thoughts, and then we'll do our ratings.
Yeah. I'll jump in, and I think you nailed a lot of what I would say between Mike and Ben, just the two of your thoughts. And for me, I totally think that I was in the camp of I hadn't played Ratchet and Clank since the PS2 games, so this came out. I'm fairly certain I saw the movie first as well, and just got that nostalgia, and I did enjoy it initially more than I did this time around, for sure. I remember thinking it was pretty good the first time that I saw it, whereas this time it was a little bit.
I mean, we thought Hot Tub Time Machine was a good movie the first
time. I still stand by that.
I maintain
that.
See, Hot Tub Time Machine for me was like, I watched it the first time and it was like, what the fuck is this absolute drivel? And then I watched it the second time, and it was like
Old.
masterpiece.
You
Wow.
were the Frank. I get it.
I get it truly took me a second watch. I don't know. I was like watching it at my sister's place in South Boston, I think, coming down from an acid trip and just like really fucked up. I think I was with Tom, our friend Tom, just hanging like staying at her
Perfect.
apartment overnight for some reason. I have no idea why. And then just being super like, you know, ripping like one of Tom's huge bongs
Probably a
in
Zong.
no, it's remember when he had the gigantic one? Remember
Oh
he had the
yeah.
gigantic one?
Kong.
Yeah.
No, I'm
Like
pretty
that.
sure the Zong only existed for a very short period of time before it broke.
I take full responsibility for convincing him to buy that for like $50.
Great purchase. It was amazing for the time being.
And watching that there. Total digression though. But yeah, I stand by Hot Tub Time Machine.
I do too.
Yeah,
But
solidarity.
I don't stand by Ratchet and
Okay,
Clank.
ratings for Hot Tub Time Machine 7.5.
Perfect 10. So but yeah, this is just not as good as on a second view. It's clearly just a marketing promotion. Obviously, I think they would have liked it to have sold more as a
Sure.
movie. Like
Sure.
I'm sure they were disappointed with the sales, but
It was
all in
beat
all-
out. It was beat out at the box office by the Key and Peele cat movie,
yeah,
Keanu.
Yeah,
Amazing.
I saw that and I was pretty surprised. I was like, man, because even that was considered a bust. Like, it wasn't that like just this one bombed. Like, that was the most successful movie in the box office, and it was still considered not successful. So,
2016, man, it was a rough year.
it was a rough year, but it definitely accomplished their goal of getting people back into the Ratchet and Clank series. It was part of their soft reboot, and I think testament of the sales of the game, the continued success with Rift Apart, and more Ratchet and Clank to come, as I'm sure we will get it at some point in the not so near future. But
I would love to see the difference in what they had projected and expected to do. I'm sure it was like they had to be realistic that it wouldn't be.
They projected something like 10 million for the opening and only did like 4.
Okay.
Or something like
so
that.
It doesn't seem like they were expecting to make a shit ton on this. So they probably had a good little number.
They were Gran Turismo just pulled 17 on its opening weekend. Still hasn't included Sunday.
Yeah, well, because the movies are back.
yeah,
They're back, baby.
I mean, in 2016, the movies weren't dying.
No, it's just we had woke culture infesting it. We had Donnie Boy out there on the campaign trails. People were watching him. They were just giving their money to him and rapture.
They were vibing.
Yeah. Everyone was out there stimming and vibing with Donnie.
No.
Hey, one way or another, there was a good portion of America, whether it was ironically or unironically, out there stimming and vibing with Donnie.
All right, Matt, what are your general thoughts again on the film, on its success, on its intended goals, and its outcome?
I mean, we touched on like my biggest takeaway again is like I'm just not the target audience for this movie. Like movies like this are.
I'm doing tent fingers and say you seem to say that a lot. So Matt, what are you the target audience like for? What films are targeting you?
3-hour epics.
You want someone to read you the Odyssey and the Iliad and give a stage.
I mean,
performance.
in its native Latin, yes, of course.
What
native Latin, Greek, buddy.
When
Homer, the Odyssey, Iliad,
when Vati makes a full movie level production explainer of the Elden Ring lore, that's
the most recent one that I sent is breaching on that.
It's approaching.
Hey, when George R.R. Martin somehow gets the From Software to sell the rights to HBO so that he could put off writing Winds of Winter even longer.
They'll
Or, just
probably
have an
do
excuse
they'll
to.
probably do like a Sekiro adaptation at some point. That's the one
I've
that's
said that
probably most
Sekiro
likely.
would be the easiest one to turn into
Yeah.
film or TV because of the way the story is portrayed.
Yeah,
That would be pretty
tight
sweet.
it is.
All right, back to Ratchet and Clank. Sorry, we keep diverging.
it's fine.
Oh, that's fine. I'd rather talk about anything other than this movie.
How did this affect your love for the franchise? Did it
I mean, it didn't, in the sense that, like, I don't consider this movie to need to exist, so I'll just ignore that it exists.
It's not
and
canon.
continue
You know
to
that
It's
love
not
funny
it.
canon.
post? You know the Reddit post you read, Ben? That was one of Matt's alts.
I'm telling you, there's like it was like 20 bullet points. I read like part of it. It was just like scrolling.
Yeah,
Oh
and
boy.
each of those
The
bullet
trick-
points is
The,
about
the trick to
15
healthy
paragraphs.
Reddit usage is you never post, so that you never have to worry about someone opening up your internet browser history and searching through and finding out that you in 2004 typed in My Little Pony search express for like, looking for a brony game, or you were playing Toontown and you
I do.
I don't know where this is going.
Toontown.
It's too over my Reddit head, and I'm scared of the waters that we were dipping into.
The I just
Right, so-
I agree. This isn't canon though. He's not a robot. What's his name? Nefarious isn't a robot, so therefore not canon. Doesn't count.
But it's how he gets made into a
fake.
robot.
Fake news.
Yeah,
All
but
right.
this expands on the further issue with pop culture media, where just because we didn't know how it was done before doesn't mean we need to know now. It's okay to
Eddie,
have
you
stuff
are
be a
so
mystery.
right there. That is, I think we could give that a full podcast endorsement. Leave some things to the imagination.
All right, so
You know,
now
they are trying to kill our ability to imagine, so that we can only get our entertainment from them.
Well,
They're trying
the
to take
elites
away the
north of
ability for dudes to
Richmond
just
are
pick up
trying
sticks.
to control our minds.
I love the astroturfing that's going on lately.
Oh yeah,
in
I
our
love the
culture. It's
interviews
great.
now that
Great.
he was talking about the GOP as well. Doesn't mention Trump.
It's great stuff. We love to see it. But was one thing that was not astroturfed was not real patriots were not going to see Ratchet and Clank in 2016. That is for sure.
You know, maybe if they had the pay it forward program in the
all right, so what's everybody's ranking here? Who wants to go first? Remember, we'll do
movie or adaptation or both.
I guess we can do both. You guys can do both at the same time, and I'll write them down.
Open a spreadsheet. Do it.
Movie's a 4.5 for me. Adaptation, I mean, they certainly adapted it, so like I'll give them a 6 on the grounds that like it has everything the game has. There's plenty of callbacks. It's a similar story. They didn't really screw the adaptation part of it up, I guess.
You see,
Right.
I go movie like 4, like childlike drivel. But as far as adaptation go, I have to give it a 7.5, because if you've got straight up movie cutscenes in your game and vice versa, however you want to order the chicken and the egg, all that bullshit. Because yeah, the game came out first, but they were in production alongside each other. Like
They were crossing streams.
you don't know whose kimonos were open to who first. You know who was dipping into what bechamel sauce. Lots of metaphors there.
Beautiful ones. I'm giving double 7s for both. Definitely give it higher than everyone else for the movie, because I accept it as the marketing that it was, and just it's out there to stim the brains of
Like is the
children
target
and
audience.
Yeah.
it was
Mike,
flashing colors for an hour and a half.
Yeah,
It got me to sit there.
as a resident neurodivergent baby brain, it's pretty colors. It's good for him. Okay, so I give the movie a 5. Just very middling. Even as a big fan of the franchise, inoffensive in that way. It's like the biggest, if you're gonna have any offense, it was the Ratchet being annoying. But in terms of a movie, it doesn't overstay its welcome. It moves. It fucking
That's the
moves.
best part about it.
Yeah, that's the best thing about it, is that it fucking moves. Like, so I have to give it points for that. So 5, just middle of the road.
Could you imagine being chained down for like 2 hours and 15 minutes for this movie?
No.
Oh,
I have to
God,
say,
though.
I think if this movie came out now, it would do much better. You know,
I don't
copy
know
and
about
paste.
that. Maybe.
I think it would still do much better if it had come out now after the Mario movie, even being worse than the Mario movie. I
You
think.
see, I almost think it would have been better
bought
off
some
as a
hype.
TV show than a movie.
But
Then you can
watch
buddy comedy it, and you can kind of give them
like each new planet
Episodic,
it's a planet of the episode, planet of the week versus like monster of the week.
See,
Yeah.
and I think if
By
it came out
format.
now, it might be like that. But I think movies were still the thing to market around and spend their money on in 2016.
I mean, Game of Thrones was making waves in 2016 still.
Sure,
That was
but
2016
it was
when
still
the final season
prestige
came out and
TV.
everyone started
No,
hating it,
no,
or was that 17?
it's
No, it was like
18 or 19
2018.
even.
No, it's
Yeah.
it's later than that. I don't think it's been that long.
Yeah, because it started in 2011, I think.
I don't know
but
if I
that's
got
still like prestige TV. That's
yeah. I don't know if I got my adaptation ranking out. I'm with Matt at a 7.5 for pretty much all those same reasons. I thought like it is clearly it's one of the clearest adaptations you can come across, right? It is.
If you watch the movie and play the game, you'll have lots of moments you're like, I saw that in the movie.
And it's not trying to be anything other than what the game was in the movie constraints. It is not like which has pluses and minuses to it, right? Like we here in the podcast gave praise to something like the 1993 Mario movie for going out there, for realizing that
taking mushrooms when you're doing the right up.
Is that like that? Is that plumber man jump on mushroom, grab flagpole? Does not a movie make, right? So you gotta
tell that to the new Super Mario movie.
you got to do something there. So it's largely successful. It's like in what it was able to achieve to bring people to the movie or from the movie to the game, I think makes it a successful adaptation in that regards. So our average for it as a film comes to 5.125,
reasonable enough,
and a flat 7 for the a flat 7 for the adaptation. Andrew is the harshest out of all of us.
Also
Yeah,
went first.
I stand by my scoring. I think that
I gave it the lowest movie rating.
You did. But you had a larger disparity than he did. His was closer. All right. Feel like that's all there is to be said about this. This will conclude our Ratchet and
Now
Clank
we shall
month.
never speak on this ever again.
Not this movie, but if they come
Definitely
out with a new game sometime soon, we will definitely be playing it and
hell yeah,
putting it on the podcast. I like these discussions these past couple of weeks has made me want to play Rift Apart again, but I've got too many games that I'm already playing and need to play by the end of the year.
Don't worry about it. Just
not gonna
Sony's
happen.
already dealing with multiverse stuff. We're going to get a crossover between Spider-Man, God of War, and Ratchet and Clank.
The Insomniac verse.
Yeah,
no, that's what I'm saying.
Kratos wielding the wrench The Omni Wrench kind of would love
Nah,
it.
Kratos dual wielding rhinos.
All right. Well, I think that'll do it for us today, folks. You can support us by following and subscribing on twitch.tv/campaign comrades. Check out the YouTube channel. Maybe there'll be some videos coming out there. No timeline, nothing. I've got to wait for some. I'm like, something's really got to grab me to like make me want to put the effort into making a video again, like a video essay again. Nothing has felt like a good enough fit to make me actually talk about it in depth yet. So we'll wait to see what else. Maybe there's some things coming up on the horizon that may be interesting to look at.
You're gonna do a video essay on woke Starfield,
or do you want to like Lies of
how
P?
they won't let you pick dong size.
Say
Yeah, Lies of P comes out.
Say why making Pinocchio a twink is woke garbage.
Or we could do something about the etilophobia.
That's fine.
No, that's good. We love that. We're here for that.
Based.
All right, folks. We will see you in the next one. Bye bye.
Bye.